Helen Hadsell was able to win any competition she took part in. She was known as the contest queen because she had won 7 trips to Paris, boats, houses. She would basically take part in any sweepstake she read about, any contest, and she would just win. That made my documentary crew, and I asked Helen, how do you do that? And she spoke about this thing called the Silva technique. Helen, you see, was Jose Silva's former PR manager. She had the benefit of learning closely from that man. Now, Jose Silva was a radio repairman who lived in the border town of Laredo, Texas in the 1940s. He had 10 kids, and his kids were not doing very well in school. Now, Jose Silva had a crazy idea. You see, he had served in the US Army, and he was fascinated by the psychological questions that the Army psychologists would ask new recruits. So he decided to look at psychology and then look at what he knew about radio repair and figure out how he could change the mindset and the brains of his kids so they could do better in school. As a radio repairman, he knew that if you reduce the resistance of a wire, more electricity flows through it. So he wondered, what could I do to reduce the resistance in the human mind? He decided to experiment with reducing any form of resistance in his children's brain. He experimented with biofeedback. He experimented with hypnosis. And sure enough, his children's grades started improving at school. But then something astonishing happened. He was sitting down with his daughter Isabel, reading a history book and asking Isabel questions. So he would guide Isabel into a restful state of being. She would have her eyes closed. He would read her the important dates. She would be able to absorb that, and then he would ask her questions. But something strange started happening. Isabel was able to answer a question before he verbally spoke it. Now let me explain this. He would think of the question in his head, a question such as who was the 16th president of the United States. Before he could verbally say it, Isabel would answer the question, Abraham Lincoln. Jose Silva was mind blown. The creative state called alpha. Alpha is known for creativity, for problem solving, for accelerated healing. Meditators, monks go into alpha as part of their daily routine. Athletes are proven to go into alpha before they take a shot, before they shoot an arrow. The alpha state is what you're in when you practice relaxation or meditation. And this is why there are over 15,000 studies today that show that being relaxed and being in a meditative or mindful state actually improve your health and well-being. But you can go further than that. You can access the next state, which is called theta. Now, theta is a really curious state. Scientists who study theta say that this is the state that gives you inspiration, eureka moments. Difficult problems suddenly get solved with a great insight. Let me give you an example. Thomas Edison, the great inventor, was known for his afternoon naps, but he napped in a really curious way. Legend has it he would sleep on a sofa holding a metal ball in his hand, and when he drifted off into deep sleep, his hand would drop, the ball would hit a metal plate next to the sofa, causing a loud clang that woke him up. In short, he was dipping into sleep and waking up, dipping into sleep and waking up. Why did he do this? Because Edison was dipping into the theta level. The theta level is the level of light sleep, and he was dipping into it to get inspiration and insights. He wasn't the only one. A famous American inventor by the name of William Gates II would create some of the most incredible patents and trademarks. He had dozens of them. But his method was to go into theta by locking himself in his darkened basement, closing all the lights, sitting on his desk, and going into a deep state of relaxation where ideas and eureka moments would flow to him. Now, while theta is the waking frequency, all of us can learn to tap into alpha and theta. And the next level is the most curious of all, delta. Delta is the level that you're in when you're asleep. But Silva found that you can learn to program your mind just before going to sleep and have your mind solve problems for you while at delta. Scientists who study delta have noticed this. People who are able to operate at the delta level of mind often tend to be incredibly lucky. Miracles happen. Crazy serendipities occur. You might call it magic or good luck, but it's something different. It almost seems like these people who are trained to access delta can bend reality. Jose Silva went on to create this incredible movement called the Silva Mind Control Movement. It was one of the first personal growth programs in America. His book, The Silva Mind Control Method, sold millions upon millions of copies. Everyone from opera singer Margarita Piazza to the Chicago White Sox spoke about how Silva techniques were allowing them to improve their skill on stage or on the ball field. Silva went deep into pioneering new techniques, including the centering exercise to rapidly take you into the alpha level. And then he created techniques to amplify focus, creativity, and intuition. His mental video technique, which he created in the mid-1990s as he lay at his deathbed, was designed to help you bring in higher intelligence to help you solve the most difficult problems. He also created the 3 scenes technique to help you see your life unfolding exactly as you want it to unfold, and also to accelerate healing and manifest your deepest desires. His case working technique was designed to train people to learn the science of mind-body healing. As the Silva method grew, of course there were skeptics. Newspapers sent journalists to go into Silva classes and see what this man was talking about. Silva classes were absolutely mobbed by people, filled with Wall Street types and executives, and they were loving it because they were learning to conquer stress. But what they did not know, Jose Silva was not going to stop at something so simple. Stress was just one aspect. By day 4 of the class, they were learning to tap into intuition, to access deep states of meditation, and to manifest their future. An entire marketing company was organized by graduates to use what they learned in Silva to invent new products and decide new ways to market them. In its 3rd year, the company had 18 products on the market. Furthermore, one advertising man used to need 2 months to create a campaign for his clients. This was quite average in the field. Applying the Silva method, he brought the process down to 20 minutes. The rest of the work was done in 2 weeks. Now, the famous Chicago White Sox had 14 players take the Silva method. All their individual averages improved, most of them dramatically. The husband of a woman who was suffering from obesity suggested she try the Silva method because all the diets she tried had failed. She agreed, provided he took Silva too. She lost 20 pounds in 6 weeks. He stopped smoking. A professor at a college of pharmacy taught Silva to his graduates. Their grades are going up in all their courses, he said, with less studying, and they are more relaxed. Everybody knows how to use their imagination. I just get my students to practice it more. I show them that imagination is valid and there's a form of reality in imagination that we can use. With all of the success, Jose did not become a celebrity, not a guru, not a spiritual leader with followers. He's a plain man of simple ways, speaks with a soft, lost accent of a Mexican American, a kind man who smiles easily whenever he hears, "Jose, you changed my life." And he replies, "No, I didn't do it. You did, with your own mind." Now, are you ready for this? Because this is the craziest story of all. You see this? This is the cover of Time magazine. And on this cover, you see the author, Richard Bach, who wrote the famous book, Jonathan Livingston Seagull. This Time magazine is from November 13, 1972, and I got this on eBay. Richard Bach made the cover of Time magazine because his book, Jonathan Livingston Seagull, struck such a chord, it took off and sold millions of copies. But here's the thing. In an interview with Harper's Bazaar magazine, Richard Bach said that this book had been sitting in his basement for years until he took a Silva class. And as he went into his alpha level of mind, the final closing chapter of the book came together. He was able to complete the book, submit it, and it became one of the best-selling books of his generation, putting him on the cover of Time magazine. I interviewed his daughter to validate it, and sure enough, Bach's daughter confirmed the story, saying that her father had the manuscript for 5 years in their basement. She also said that her father would come back from these classes, sit down with her, and teach her techniques. And now she understood how that these were Silva techniques. The mindset. Before I show you and how to change your mind to change your life, as a radio say, he knew that if you reduce the resistance of a wire, and many people call me one of the luckiest people, so he wondered, I built my dream company, Mind Now, into a massive evaluation. My resistance and totally extraordinary mind. He experimented with biowork. He experimented with hypnosis, and sure enough, my second book, #1 on the Wall Street Journal. I run multiple companies around the world. In just a few hours, he was sitting down with his daughter, and I live a life reading a history blessed and asking Isabel while on the outside, all of this seems like luck. He would guide Isabel into using the Silva method for the last 20 He would read her the important dates. She would be able to absorb that, to manifest a life by design. And once you begin to understand things, synchronicities become was part able of your life. To answer magic question seems to infuse your life. Verbally, it almost seems as if now let me explain this. Has your back. He would just think like of the question in his head. You see, Helen was doing what all us Silva graduates know. He could verbally she was a master at the question Abraham Lincoln. It wasn't until I stumbled upon the Silva method that everything changed for me. It started J.B. 26. It was April 2001 when I landed in San Francisco, and my timing sucked because the dot-com perception and Silva told I lost my savings, I lost the job I had, and I was forced to get a dialing for dollars. J.B. Ryan replied back in a letter and said, "No, that's and making absolutely nothing. The economy was so bad they were not paying a base salary. It was either was a software, so he can get a 20% cut. The rest of his kids to develop a high degree of intuition. So now over the next 10 years, Jose Silva trained 30, and I couldn't afford rent, so I was on this approach. He documented the results. He made one good thing in desperation. I decided to get on Google and ask for help. Google was the hot new search engine in Silicon Valley, and I got 1% added. Maybe it was to develop a high degree so bad to get a Google. How do I get out of this rut? So I was next on Google. And I saw documented the results within one day. In desperation, I decided to get on Google. Ask for help. Google was to put together a few hundred Silicon Valley, and I got 1% added. Maybe it was to develop a high degree so bad to get a Google. So I was next on Google. And I saw documented the results within one day. In desperation, I decided to get on Google. Ask for help. Google was to put together a few hundred Silicon Valley, and I got 1% added. Maybe it was to develop a high degree so bad to get a